Hello, my name is Leilani Beck, and I am a student at SNHU, and I'm currently enrolled in the Master's in English Language Arts program. And today I'm going to talk about functional shifting. So first off, let's talk about what the definition is of functional shifting. Well, according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, functional shifting is a process by which a word or form comes to be used in another grammatical function. So of course, what does that mean? It means nouns can suddenly be used as verbs, verbs can be used as adjectives, adjectives can be used as verbs, it's so on and so forth. The original meaning stays the same, so the audience, even though the function changes within the sentence, they already know what the word is, what it's trying to convey. For example, if you said you're going to friend someone over on Facebook, you don't have to go any further elaboration than that. As long as you understand what the noun friend means and what Facebook means, what friending means in that context, suddenly when you see the verb friending someone on Facebook, you don't have to go into any more detail. The audience already understands. So there is a certain efficiency that does come along with functional shifting. There's also a certain amount of nuance. Over in Futurama, which is an animated show that started on Fox and also went on to Comedy Central. Now there's actually a miniseries episode called Wild Green Yonder where the main character, Leela, says to Fry, "Come over here and stop braining." We don't have to go any more details than that. We automatically, by seeing that sentence, know what she's trying to say. So we know what the noun brain means. It's that lovely organ in our heads that enables us to have this higher learning where we can argue the intricacies of the English language. So when you see that in that context as a verb, we know she's pretty much trying to say overthinking, stop overthinking. But it doesn't have the same amount of depth you would when you say stop braining. So if you said come over here and stop overthinking, suddenly it's more formal. It doesn't have that same vibe that the show Futurama is often trying to give off to their audience. And it certainly doesn't have the contemporary feel. So it gives different meaning to that sentence just by the informality that comes with the word braining. But this isn't a new linguistic device. William Shakespeare, doubtful he was the first person to use it, but he certainly used it a lot over especially his plays. Shakespeare was known for making up a lot of new words, creating new words. He used a lot of different methods to do so. He used combining, adding prefixes and suffixes to basic root words. He also was very good at shortening words and blending them. And of course, this was Shakespeare, and he could do pretty much whatever he wanted. There was a certain amount of literary freedom with him. He would just make up words. But with functional shifting, he added a lot more depth to sometimes very basic sentences. Over in King Lear, early on in that play, Lear's youngest daughter, Cordelia, with whom he had a very complicated relationship, we'll leave it at that, although King Lear had a complicated relationship with all three of his daughters, but Cordelia's was a little bit more to it than that. So early on in the play, Cordelia says, "Time shall unfold what plighted cunning, who covers faults, at last shame them derides, well may you prosper." Well, in this respect, she uses the word plight, which is normally a noun, which when you think about it, you think of misfortune, you think of the feeling of helplessness, because how do you stop plight? And then suddenly you're using this as an adjective, plighted cunning. Well, if you said unfortunate cunning, it wouldn't have anywhere near that level of depth and nuance that you would see with the word plighted. But it doesn't have to be just in a little bit more of a darker tone. You can also see this in more playful speech. Over in The Taming of the Shrew, you see the servant Grumio. He has some really lovely lines, to be honest, but this was one I thought gave a very good example of functional shifting. So Grumio says, "Face not me, thou hast braved many men, brave not me. I will neither be faced nor braved. I say unto thee, I bid thy master cut out the gown, but I did not bid him cut it to pieces. So, of course, Grumio in this respect is using face and brave interchangeably. Face is normally a noun. Of course, we know what a face is. And saying someone is face to face, there's idea of confrontation. So in here, he's using it instead as a verb. So, you shall not face me means that you're not going to confront me. And we don't have to explain that. And then with the word brave, normally that would be an adjective, a way of describing someone. And we know what it means. So when he uses it instead as a verb, brave, not me, and using between faced and brave, what he's saying is, do not confront me, I'm a coward. If you just said those two sentences, it wouldn't have anywhere near the playfulness and the poetry that comes with this speech. We would lose something without that functional shifting. But you also see this with a lot of contemporary language. We talked a little bit about friending with Facebook earlier, but there's also with the social media aspect of it. Google is a very common internet search engine. So if you say you're going to, instead of going through all of those details of saying that you're going to search online for a certain term, you just say you're going to Google it. And you don't have to explain what that means. That's pretty amazing that we can use the noun Google and suddenly use that as a verb. And they can be used, one or the other without having to explain that. When you're saying, a girl is saying she's going to go clubbing, we know what she's going to do. She's going to a club where she's probably going to hang out with friends, drink, dance, anything like that. And so it's using that noun club, and we're using the verb clubbing to be able to convey that same idea. They have the same meaning. But then again, there's also, if a girl's, clubbed him over the head, you're still using the verb form of club, but it's a different club. This respect, it would be that like a large stick or a blunt force trauma-inducing object. So because of the context of the two sentences, though, you still don't have to convey any more to the audience. They already understand. So with functional shifting, our language is definitely more succinct. It doesn't help if English language is not your first language and you don't have that background knowledge. There can be a lot more explanations that are needed, but for the most part, it does make our language more efficient. And everyone already understands what you're trying to say when you change the function of a word from things like a noun to a verb or a verb to an adjective. And to be honest, it makes our language the richer for it. So, I'm Leilani Beck. Thank you for listening.